up, y'all? Welcome to the new episode of the Meaning Up podcast. This is episode 63. We are joined again by Mr. Brian Perez.
What up?
A.K.A. Beardo.
What up?
Welcome again. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you for having me back.
Thank you. Now, of course, we're talking Coen Brothers, part 2. The second part of the Coen Brothers saga that we kind of embarked on here.
What did we stop on the first one? Lebowski was the first one, or first part?
Yeah, Lebowski was the end of our first part, and then we're gonna jump right into their 2000s era with Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Okay,
I'm kicking off. Now, unfortunately, we are shooting these back to back, so I don't have comments from last week to read because that's literally impossible. So we're just gonna jump right into the movies. Oh Brother Where Art Thou is the Coen's not newest, but kind of their foray into I feel like kind of ushered in a new era for their kind of films and their kind of new film.
How would you describe like their new era? Like more, I wouldn't say audience based.
I'll probably say audience. I'll probably say something along the lines of adopting a more broader. I guess broader is not the right term either, but
do you think they were trying to go for like, okay, this is going to be our big hit? Because at this point, they like all their movies weren't like giant moneymakers.
Yeah.
So you think like, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, like, okay, now we're going to make like a big movie for everybody.
I think Oh Brother Where Art Thou is probably their biggest scale film. I'd probably say.
Oh, okay.
Maybe No Country for Old Men will probably rival that as well. And I don't know the actual budgets for these movies, but I mean in terms of like. Oh Brother Where Art Thou adapting the Odyssey from Homer, this classic story that everybody is familiar with, this like prized adaptation, but also is kind of a joke film to some extent. Like
it's silly. It's
super silly.
Yeah.
The reason why it's named Oh Brother Where Art Thou is because it's taken from this old film. Have you seen one of these classic films, Sullivan Travels?
Sulliver's Travels or Sullivan?
Yeah. I think Sullivan Travels.
Either way, I haven't seen it.
Okay,
but it's like a classic.
It's a classic Hollywood film that's about this director who's named John L. Sullivan, and he is basically a film director who wants to make a movie about the Great Depression. Who wants to make a movie about depression, the Depression, because this movie opened December in 1941.
Okay.
So that the whole premise of Sullivan Travels is like this super successful movie director who wants to embody himself into into poverty so he could get a perspective on how to be poor so he can make a movie about the Great Depression.
Oh, so he like lived amongst the poor to like understand them?
Yeah, but then it ultimately turned into a whole thing where he gets arrested and he gets sent to prison. It's a funny movie. It's actually like a comedy / Hollywood, Hollywood farcical kind of thing. But the movie that he's trying to make throughout this film is Oh Brother Where Art Thou. So then the Coens kind of took that premise from that movie and took the idea of Oh Brother Where Art Thou and made a Depression era movie with as if envisioning what director Sullivan was
like bringing it to the screen.
Right.
What I saw this movie once, like back in college too, and it didn't really stick with me for some reason or another. I don't know why. Like I enjoyed seeing it. I like the music. I don't know if George Clooney's actually singing, but
I don't think he's actually singing.
Okay, no. But I enjoyed it. But for some reason, like it just wasn't memorable to me. But did you enjoy this movie?
I appreciate it a whole lot. I enjoy it. We recently for one of my classes about adaptation. We discussed the movie very heavily. It was one of the first movies that we watched and kind of broke down because, like I said, it's an adaptation of the Odyssey. But also, the Coen Brothers famously said they never actually read the Odyssey, so they are just kind of adopting the myth, the ideas, like the general understanding of people's understanding of the Odyssey.
So they're adapting what they think the Odyssey is about?
Yeah. While also making this, like I said, Depression era type thing. And they're going very specifically, I think, for a look that emulates like the Depression 1940s kind of era too, like with the brown the brown kind of
the hues of the you mean the coloring?
The coloring.
Oh,
yeah. With the and which is also a thing that this movie is also credited for. Is one of the first films that was completely done using digital color correction.
Oh, really?
With digital. I think they call it digital intermediate, DI. This was one of the first movies that was like non-visual effects based that instituted that technology to order to make it a more brown, to make the color palette more contrasty with brown and blue.
Mm-hmm.
So
what is it about? I know I remember it, but not really. Like George Clooney is with like two other guys. I think Tim Blake Nelson is one of them.
Tim Blake Nelson and John Turturro.
Oh, he's the other guy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And they escape prison.
I think it's a couple. I think it might be another guy too. But they're a chain gang, so they're all chained together. And they all break out. They all break out of prison. And it's just the journey of them. It's just a journey. It's just basically It's just I don't really know how to describe it because I don't really know the Odyssey really either.
It's just trying to get back home?
Yeah, just trying to get back home. But I guess the whole idea of the Odyssey is that they're sailing through it's a bunch of soldiers on this boat sailing through like the lakes of the Mediterranean, or maybe not the lakes, the Mediterranean Sea. And they're just trying to get to the other side of it. But they encounter all these obstacles in between. So this movie kind of emulates like them just trying to get George Clooney in particular trying to see his wife and his like 7 kids. But along the way, there's like this whole subplot. There's a bunch of subplots. This whole political subplot about this politician who is trying to get reelected to this town. There's a lot that happens in this movie. I think I already asked, but what's your overall like feeling of this movie? Yeah, I mean, I like it. I do like it. I like it a lot. I think when I first saw it, I was a little off-put by it. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like the music, like this is not my type of music. I just can't listen. I can't really. As much as I enjoy the movie itself, like, and as much as the music should be celebrated, because the music is an achievement. The music is taken from a bunch of old historical recordings from like the 1940s, like Americana, like Middle America music that was held in storage with the Smithsonian. So the Smithsonian archives that the producers and the Coen Brothers got popular artists of like 2000s era to like record over. So they recorded over these old recordings. And that's what the whole album and the whole music scape of this movie is.
And they made like a whole album of songs for the movie, right?
Yeah, and it ended up winning Album of the Year when it came out at the Grammys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, or I believe at least it was nominated. Which a fan actually pointed out to me because I tweeted recently that the Black Panther soundtrack recently got nominated for the Grammy for Album of the Year.
Yeah.
But a fan pointed out that the president was set with this movie.
What year did this come out? I don't remember.
2000. This was 2000. Yeah, so right at the turn of the decade.
Dang.
George Clooney was a star, but I don't think he was the megastar that he was just yet. I think this movie, at this point he had ER, which was big on TV.
Yeah.
But then he also had Batman and Robin. Kind of somewhat tanked his film career.
But this was before Ocean's 11. I think
this was before Ocean's 11.
That was 2001.
That was 2001. Yeah.
For some reason I always thought George Clooney was already like a big star at this time.
No, but he was on the cusp because he also was in Out of Sight with Steven Soderbergh right before. So he had a little bit of star power. And this movie, I think this movie established him as more of the actor that's going to be not the Batman and Robin type actor, not the big blockbuster actor.
Yeah.
But this movie kind of showed he works best in like character driven pieces, even though this was a full out comedy and his character's kind of stupid.
But he does have range as an actor.
I think that's what he's trying to show, that he has range. I think this movie showed that, and I think Ocean's 11 catapulted him to being the biggest star in the world.
But I didn't say this about the episode prior, but I feel like every actor wants to work with the Coen Brothers.
Yeah.
Because the characters they create are so well developed and so intricate.
Right.
And like it just seems like an actor's dream just to read what the Coen Brothers write.
Right.
Whether it's like the Nicolas Cage part in Raising Arizona, or the Jennifer Jason Leigh character in Hudsucker Proxy, where she's just like this quick talking like person. You're like, oh, it just seems like a fun person for like an actor to play.
Yeah,
because like I don't know, just like their movies just feel like stuff made for the stage, but on film.
Yeah. I feel like they give their actors a lot. I mean, they directed multiple Academy Award nominations and winners. So they definitely know what they're doing with actors, and I think even particularly with Oh Brother Where Art Thou, it broke George Clooney, but it also gave a lot of perspective onto the kind of selling power of the Coen Brothers themselves.
Oh, really?
Because I think that this movie was I don't know if it made like the most money, but I think it kind of put a lot of the perception around the Coen Brothers to the mainstream to some extent.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Fargo did that too, but
I don't think Fargo was a huge hit. It was still kind of like an indie. Like it has like an indie feel to them.
Right.
Like that, especially Barton Fink and Raising Arizona. Like they're all still like kind of indie movies. Even The Big Lebowski's not like for everybody.
Mainstream, yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying this was like they're more mainstream. They're turned into that.
Yeah. It made $75 million worldwide off a $26 million budget.
Okay.
So I think this is one of their higher grossing films that they did. I think ultimately that ended up being surpassed by like True Grit and a few of their other films.
I think True Grit is like their highest. I think it's their only movie that made over $100 million domestically.
Yeah. So it's all of that. But yeah, you're right. Every actor is excited to work with the Coen Brothers. I think there's even a thing that George Clooney didn't even like really read the script for this movie.
He's just like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, he just went for it.
That's it. Like why wouldn't you? Like, it seems everybody wants to, and they'll take a pay cut because the Coen Brothers, they don't make money, and their movies cost $20 million. So yeah, you're not doing their movies for like the paycheck. You're doing it because they have this track record. They make great movies, and you might get an Oscar nom.
Right. Nah, so big salute to that. Like I said, I like Oh Brother Where Art Thou a lot. If the music maybe was a little more listenable for my ears, then I probably like it a whole lot more. But the story that they're telling in and of itself is really dope. And again, I think it's another thing of them telling the story of like somebody trying to pursue the American dream, trying to pursue like their own slice of like good, wholesome American life and everything that kind of comes in the way of that.
Or you're saying like just trying to like return to like normalcy.
Yeah.
Trying to break out of prison and just return to his family.
Yeah.
Just trying to be like a regular not stay-at-home dad, but like a working nuclear family.
Yeah.
As opposed to being stuck in whatever situation he's in.
Yeah.
I didn't see that as a theme like throughout their movies.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. Everybody's just trying to get to where they're comfortable, but nobody can really get there.
Yeah,
and I think that's why a central theme of their films is just that life's uncomfortable. Like life is just not going to work out the way that we anticipate it to.
Not everything's like pitch perfect, and everything has a happy ending. Like there is realness to life.
Right.
It's not like the movies.
Right. Oh Brother Where Art Thou is definitely, I'd say probably has their happiest ending out of any of their films.
What happens at the end? I don't remember.
I think one of the water towers in this like small town like kind of falls over, and I think it alludes to earlier and it's a lot of biblical references in this movie. So I think earlier in the film they like George Clooney was like, pray like everybody gets washed like the sin, like he's essentially
baptism.
praying for like baptism essentially. So then, like the whole town just like gets flooded or whatever, or this whole like little, I think it was like a stage, or I don't know, I can't really fully remember. I was half asleep when we watched it in class.
You fall asleep? You saw it in class?
Yeah. I fall asleep to a lot of movies though.
Yeah, you can't rate a movie for falling asleep during it.
No, you're right. So, but also I seen it before on Netflix too, and I watched it after because that's where I had a paper on it.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it definitely alludes to a much bigger, brighter future for. I mean, he gets back with his wife who had another who was with another guy when he was locked up. So he ends up getting her back and stuff. So it's dope.
Yeah.
It has a fun ending. But it's probably one of their few movies that actually does have some glimmer of hope in it to some extent. their next film on their filmography are films like The Man Who Wasn't There. I haven't personally seen that one.
I haven't seen that.
So I don't really know what that one's about.
Was that a big movie? Did it get any Oscar nominations?
I'm not sure.
Nothing?
Let me check on that. It looks like it has a one Oscar nomination for cinematography for Roger Deakins.
Okay.
Not to be surprised. I believe this is more of a straight up noir film, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
This one is fully black and white. It looks like, and just from the look of the poster, it looks like it's taken from the noir kind of design of the poster, just from what I'm looking at here. And it also, The Man Who Wasn't There, also kind of sounds reminiscent of the Hitchcock film, The Man Who Knew Too Much.
Yeah.
Also another classic, like, kind of noir film. So I'm guessing this is, and just reading the description on IMDb, it says, a laconic, chain-smoking barber blackmails his wife's boss and lover for money to invest in dry cleaning, but his plans go horribly wrong. So, sounds like Coen Brothers.
Yeah. Another, like, blackmail plot or hiring somebody to do something to murder or kidnap or whatever. And then how you're saying to run a dry cleaning business.
Yeah.
That's like what
sounds very Coen's.
The theme of like their whole movie is like he just wants to settle down and just create a business.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, circumstances get in the way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't seen the movie.
I haven't seen this movie either. So salute to that film though.
Who is there like a main star in it or no?
It stars Billy Bob Thornton as the main character.
Okay.
James Gandolfini is in it. Of course, Frances McDormand is in it.
What year was that one?
This was 2001.
So right after.
Yeah, after Oh Brother Where Art Thou. And Scarlett Johansson's in this too, looks like, just based on the cast list. So yeah, I definitely want to check this one out, and I gotta explore that. Intolerable Cruelty is another one that I haven't seen 100% of, so I don't fully know that this movie either.
I didn't know they made that movie.
Yeah, this is often regarded as their worst film.
I thought Lady Killers was.
Lady Killers is also for a lot of people up there too.
Really? Intolerable Cruelty, because to me it looks just like a generic romantic comedy.
Yeah. I mean that's what it looks like. Just George Clooney and
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
And yeah,
it just looks like the Coen Brothers directed this, but I haven't seen it, so I don't know if like there is. It seems like they just did it like someone directed it and like they took over. And they got credit for it, but I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Well, just looking at the credits on IMDb, it does appear that this has a lot more writing credits than a normal Coen Brother movie.
Okay.
It says there's story credits for Robert Ramsey, Matthew Stone, and John Romano. I guess that's his name. But there's a lot of story credits that appear to be here.
So it wasn't like the original Coen Brothers like came up with the idea and like produced it themselves.
Yeah,
they must have done something.
It seems more like a studio thing.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not sure. I actually kind of did see this movie when I was real young. That's only because my mom is like a sucker for romantic comedies.
Yeah. Is it just a general like romantic comedy?
Yeah, it's
straightforward. I mean,
I think there's a crime plot. The synopsis says a beautiful gold digger matches with a Beverly Hills divorce lawyer who's incredibly attracted to her. So the genres that they have it listed on is comedy, crime, and romance. So maybe there's a criminal angle to it. Again, I'm not fully 100% sure, but I do know it's a romance comedy because I do know my mom watched this one when I was a kid.
Did she like it?
I don't know. I mean, we watched so many romance comedies back then, bro.
That's true. Yeah,
I have no idea.
They all blend together. Like,
they all kind of blend together. Yeah. But yeah, no disrespect to Intolerable Cruelty. They went on this kind of streak of after Oh Brother Where Art Thou, not having the most highly regarded films. Of course, The Man Who Wasn't There has a high regard and it received some Oscar attention, but Intolerable Cruelty and Lady Killers didn't do it with audiences.
So The Man Who Wasn't There was 2001. Mm-hmm. Then Intolerable Cruelty was 2003?
2003, yep. And then Lady Killers was 2004.
Oh, so like just like for like a solid 5 years, like not much from the Coen Brothers.
Yeah.
I didn't see Lady Killers. Did you see it?
I didn't see this one. But I do know there's a lot of controversy behind its portrayal of Black people.
What? What about it?
Well, it's mostly about like Southern. About this, Tom Hanks plays this Southern guy. I guess it's just bad, negative stereotypes of Black people in this, like watermelon, some shit. I don't know. I haven't actually seen it, so I don't know what was actually offensive about it or what's not.
Okay.
But I mean, it takes place in the South, so of course they might be emulating some of the embedded like kind of racism that happens there, maybe. I don't know. Again, I haven't seen this film.
So, from what I hear, how is that different from like a Tarantino depicting in Django Unchained,
right,
slavery or something?
Right. I mean, I think for Django gets a lot of its acclaim because it starred Jamie Foxx, because it's told mainly from a Black perspective for the most part.
Okay.
Even though he doesn't. Even though it's not fully Django's story, it's also a lot of his dentist buddy's story too.
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah. It's both of their stories to some extent, but it mostly focuses around Django. So I think that's why it gets a lot of things. Whereas this film kind of just stars Tom Hanks and
with the backdrop of the South.
Yeah. Marlon Wayans is in this movie, which is weird. Holy shit, I didn't even know that.
That's disappointing. That because the Coen Brothers and Tom Hanks, you would think they would make something great.
Yeah. No, you definitely think that. I mean, again, I haven't seen this one either. So
yeah.
I feel bad. We literally started off this podcast being like, we haven't seen 3 out of 4 of the first movies.
But I feel like a lot of people haven't seen these. But I don't know. I could be wrong. People saw it. And maybe some people like it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I feel like if I had more time, I would have watched their whole filmography just to understand everything that they've done.
Yeah. No. And I feel like most people don't even regard as highly these films anyway. I feel like we're gonna have a much nicer conversation when we talk about movies like No Country for Old Men, A Serious Man, True Grit, and Cy Llewyn Davis.
Yeah.
Too. I think they kind of re-emerged themselves into their peak.
Yeah.
Peak Coen Brothers.
So what's after Lady Killers?
They directed a segment of this film called Perez.
The Jataimi?
The Dami.
I don't know how to say it. But it's like Paris, I Love You, right?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. They directed a segment of that, but most importantly, after Lady Killers, came what I think most people would consider their best film.
No Country?
No Country for Old Men.
2007?
2007.
Wow.
Yeah, so in between Lady Killers, 2004, No Country for Old Men, their next feature, 2007, good 3-year gap. This movie... For one, this movie will always be marked as the Coen Brothers film that won Best Picture.
Yeah.
The Coen Brothers film that won Best Director, one of them Best Directors, that had Anton Chigurh, who's the main bad guy, played by
Javier Bardem. Won Best Supporting Actor.
Right. Many people consider this the best villain of all time. Some people would rank him up there. So this one really... in terms of impact, made the biggest impact, I think, culturally, of any Coen Brothers film, probably.
I think that's the one that put Javier Bardem on the map.
Oh, easily.
Because I didn't know him before this.
Yeah.
And I thought he was someone menacing like that. He just plays the character so well. And not a lot of people give Josh Brolin.
I was gonna say, I think Josh Brolin. This one kind of broke Josh Brolin to a lot of people too.
Yeah. As an adult actor, because he's been around
right. He's in the Goonies and stuff. Yeah. But as an adult actor, this movie is. Obviously everybody knows what this movie has been regarded as one of the greats. But I just think it's incredibly fascinating when we look at this film from the perspective of 2007, right? This was also the same year that No Country for Old Men, but There Will Be Blood. Also came out around the same time. Not similar movies plot wise, but similar movies in idea to some extent, right? Like
and the setting.
Yeah. And setting.
Or what do you mean?
They both shot in Texas at the same time too. By the way.
Yeah, they said like across the mountain was like the next set.
Yeah,
of this the other movie.
Right. But I feel like they share the same greed of the same greed. To give away what I was gonna say, but the same theme of greed, right? Of how greed kind of consumes.
So which one's greedy? Anton is the greedy one?
I'd say Josh Brolin's character for stealing the money that didn't belong to him in this random briefcase to begin with. He got so caught up in protecting his funds that it ultimately led to his downfall. Now, Anton, I mean, honestly, I don't really know how to read this character of Anton Chigurh. Is that how you pronounce it, Chigurh?
I don't remember his last name.
Yeah. It's spelled spelled Chigurh. So weird spelling. This movie. I mean, he's insane. I mean, this guy is literally the most insane person.
Oh, it's just a cold-blooded killer.
Yeah.
Who, like, no sense of humor, and then like you say the wrong thing, and he just murders you.
Yeah.
With this that's this ingenious kind of way of killing people.
Yeah. Was it a cow prodder or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah. That kills cows, or like it's just like it just shoots air into like a concentrated spot.
Right.
Instead of like killing somebody with a gun or a knife or anything, it's just this guy just carries his canister around and just kills people.
Right.
And it's ingenious and it's insane. And the whole scene with the coin toss thing is just like, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
What
do you think of this movie overall?
I enjoyed it. I think There Will Be Blood should have won Best Picture.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
But I still enjoyed it, like for what it was. Like now that you point out that the Coen Brothers do noir all the time, now like this is just like noir.
Yeah.
You have the briefcase, you have the money, you have the plot device, and you have everything. I'm like, oh, the Coen Brothers are kind of just being the Coen Brothers. I didn't get that. Now you're kind of ruining the movies for me.
Kind of ruining the movies. Oh man, I hope I don't ruin it.
No.
But it's also a little bit Western too, don't you think? Like this one, like at least from an aesthetic standpoint, like.
And Tommy Lee Jones is dressed like he has the cowboy hat.
Yeah. I don't know if that's how real sheriffs actually dress out there in Texas, but
maybe
probably,
maybe it's what they think. Like with the Odyssey, they thought like that's what the Odyssey is about. Like this is what they think the people in Texas dress up like.
Yeah, at least in the 70s, right?
Is that when it's set in the 70s?
Yeah, I think it's set in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
Because everybody's wearing that kind of period stuff. I mean, maybe it could be set modern times. I don't know, but I didn't really see any new cars in there.
I saw it once, and it was a while ago, so I don't remember it fully. But I remember like the ending. It kind of just ends.
Yeah, I mean, that's when I first watched this movie. When I first watched this movie, I was highly disappointed.
Oh, really?
Highly, because I watched this film for the first hour, 20 minutes on the edge of my seat. Like, literally like, oh, man, this is one of the most thrilling films I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then they randomly kill off Josh Brolin off screen.
The climax happens off screen.
Yeah. And I was like, whoa, what the... This is all literally all I cared about this entire movie, you know? And then I love how they kept building the suspense, just seeing him kill off like other people, like Woody Harrelson's character, like all the other kills that happened like kind of before that. So you know how sinister like the showdown that we've been waiting for is finally going to happen.
That it's going to be. You think like some Good, Bad, the Ugly type showdown type thing?
Yeah, something, you know? But it just kind of flips. And I think that subversion is crucial to this film. I think that's what kind of really makes it stand out.
You think did you go back and watch and you're like, oh, now it works? Now that I understand it?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went back. I guess I kind of looked at it less from the perspective of Josh Brolin's character's perspective. I guess his name's Moss. They call him Moss. Less from him and more, I guess, from Tommy Lee Jones' perspective. Okay. And it's kind of a similar situation in Fargo, right? Like in Fargo, we don't meet Marge 35 minutes into the movie. Same thing with Tommy Lee Jones' character in this movie. Like he kind of comes in as the POV outside, kind of to represent the audience, and it ends on him with his retirement speech and everything.
The whole monologue at the end. Yeah, it's just like the camera's just on him.
Right.
And it just ends, and I'm kind of just like, okay, like where's it gonna go after this? And it just like fades to black or just cuts to black.
Right.
And then with stuff like that, I just have to like go back and like kind of dissect like what was he talking about, like really, and what was it about? Does he say the title in that monologue? I feel like he says something crucial. I don't know if he says "There's no country for old men."
I think that might be where it's said. Yeah.
But he says something in that, and I'm like, like stuff like that, or just sits with you after the movie's over. You're like,
Yeah,
now
it's it's unnerving. You know what I mean? And I think, and for that movie in particular, the way that movie ended, it highlighted, I guess, the overall idea of the film, right? The overall idea of like, it's just too much cruelty in this world. Like, I feel like this is really one of the first times a Coen Brothers film has actually commented on how cruel and nihilistic the world is.
Yeah.
Because of just how much of an evil force that Anton Chigurh is, and how much of a killing machine this dude presented himself as.
Yeah.
And how Tommy Lee Jones just looks at that like this is just too much. Because for most of the Coen Brothers films, just like, life goes on. But for him, it's like this really scarred him.
So it's kind of like a growing of them as directors. No,
beginning to I feel like commenting on on the world in a different way, because I feel like maybe you're right. I think all the rest of their films after this point kind of do have some sort of conclusion to like what they're trying to say, or
like they're evolving into like, okay, like the world is pretty absurd, but there's also like. Or no, we were saying stuff with like their earlier stuff. It is kind of dark and pretty sour or dour, but I don't know. Like they're just now like shit is serious. Like I don't know how old they are. They were probably in their 50s. Like, oh shit, like the world sucks. And this was around the time too, like the collapse of the economy and like
this is the beginning of that post 9/11.
Yeah,
a lot of people do consider this like the post 9/11 look of the Coen Brothers, where they are commenting on like the random hysteria that kind of surrounds.
I didn't think about that.
Americana, yeah.
So they are just like commenting on the world in general. Like we were in Iraq at the time or something. I don't know the dates.
Think Iraq and Afghanistan. I think we're in both countries at that point.
In like 2004? I don't know.
Something like that. Yeah.
So they were probably writing this up, and then they just developed it, and like, okay, the world's pretty shitty, and it's not a joking matter now.
Right. Because I feel like this film does go a lot bigger and what in just ambition, right? I feel like from an ambition standpoint, this film is much longer, not much longer, but it is substantially longer than a lot of their other films in their filmography. So it's even like 2 hours, where most of their films are like an hour 40, hour 30. And it also is a lot slower. It's a lot quieter. There's no like real music that really comes up all that much in this movie. I don't think there's any music in this movie, actually.
I don't know if it's this one. I read there is no score.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's this movie or not, but it's just like moments of just like silence.
Yeah. So it's really forcing the audience to really be there, and really it kind of strips it back as like this kind of like naked, like raw, like reality. This is reality kind of representation,
Yeah, it kind of goes back to their Blood Simple days.
Yeah,
where it's like
100%.
Yeah, it's like that look of film and that look of filmmaking. It's just like, okay, this is our style again, and now we've grown as filmmakers. And now this is what we can do.
Right.
And we can make a straightforward film that's like just good, as opposed to like sending up a genre, or like parroting something, or just making jokes at stuff. We can just make a great movie. Right.
Yeah. And I feel like with a character like Anton being at the center of this, it kind of exercises us as audiences fascinations with psychopaths, right?
Yeah.
With killers, with disturbed people. I mean, this was 2007. The next year it was 2008 with The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's Joker.
Was Zodiac around?
Zodiac did come out in 2007. as well. So it does. So I think this was a time that people were just interested in the idea of killers, the idea of psychopaths, and what makes them tick, what goes inside the brain. And you really have a hard time dissecting what Anton is about, because he does seem like he's somewhat of a principled guy. I mean, he doesn't really. I mean, maybe not, but. I mean, I always think they give him a tiny moment of humanity.
What part?
At the end, where he like breaks, when he gets in the car accident and like breaks his arm or whatever, and then the kids come by, is like, "Kid, I'll give you $200 if you then let me use your shirt." And it's like, oh, mister, you could have my shirt. And he like wraps himself up. Like it gives him that like 1 weak vulnerable moment, like at the very end of his story. You know, so it kind of humanizes him to some extent, but it adds that perspective of like this is not just a unstoppable killing force. This is actual human being who can't get hurt, who can't get injured, who isn't some sort of like God figure or something that he might think he is, you know?
He still is a mortal human being.
Right.
But is there like motivation given to him for anything?
That's what always puzzled me. I mean, his motivation, I don't know if he like outwardly says what motivates him in this story, but that's always been the toughest breed for me is like, what is he actually?
But in terms of what's happening, is he just like traveling cross country to go anywhere?
No, I think he's trying to get the briefcase back from Josh Brolin. You know?
Okay, that's all he wants is whatever's in the briefcase.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know if he's actually looking for the briefcase for money or if it's his own psychosomatic thing. I mean, there's obviously money in there. I mean, I'm just not 100% sure. I don't know if it's like, of course, there's always going to be the surface level motivation of money, of like getting the MacGuffin. But like, I don't know if that is his driving factor because I think there are some parts in this movie where he clearly doesn't care about, where he doesn't have a regard for money or things like that, or at least it's not mentioned outwardly.
Well, if he's offering $200 for a shirt, like he doesn't really care about money. Cause like that's a lot of money just to borrow someone's piece of clothing.
Yeah, especially back in the 70s. So I don't really know what makes this character tick, and I think that's why people are so fascinated by him. Like, I think that's why this film is so highly regarded too, because people go back and try and deconstruct and dissect what was actually being said here
and what's going on in his brain. Right. That's what's so great about the Javier Bardem's acting. You're like, there's stuff going on in there. But his face is just like stoic and stone face. Right. His face literally looks like it's made of stone. Right. And it's just terrifying.
He's like Mike Myers from Halloween, just like a human version.
But it is a fine line where it can be like, you push the line where it could be like underdeveloped. And you're like, oh, he has no motivation. Why is he doing any of this? Why does any of it matter? Right. Or you can like dive deep and it can work and you can go in deep and like, oh, he's doing this because of this. And he has these psychoses and this and stuff. And he's just like mentally insane. But there's like reason behind it. Right. And people can write papers and just dissect it.
Yeah, I think that's where I think this movie this movie has been picked to pieces, I think, at this point. Like,
really?
I think everybody has done some sort of dissertation or I mean, we've seen clips of this for like 2 of my film classes. Haven't watched the full movies, but seen clips of it for one of my editing classes I took one semester. Another one just for another general film studies class that we kind of looked at this movie a little bit. There's a plethora of video essays that go into like the art of this movie. So
what are they teaching in your film classes about it? Like, why did they present a scene specifically?
Yeah, particularly the coin flip scene was one for the editing course that we kind of talked about a lot.
Like just cutting back to eyes and coin and like hand movements and everything.
Yeah, just the establishment of the language in that scene, right? How it's really only 3 camera setups, the one over the shoulder, other over the shoulder, and then the insert of the coin. So then and then when you see the insert of the coin is so carefully placed in that moment. So when he actually grabs it, it's like, oh, like it breaks the structure so much that it breaks, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure if I'm describing it perfectly 100% the way we got it, but like the whole idea is that like the Coens like really, I think they even edit. I think we haven't given them credit for their editing because I think they edit all their own films too, if I'm not mistaken.
I read that they've been editing all their movies since the beginning, but like due to rules or something, they had to do it under a pseudonym.
Right.
Something Janes.
Yeah, I think. I don't know how to pronounce what they call their editing name, but
it's like Roland or something. Or
Roderick Janes.
Yeah. And I think I read that they've had Final Cut since their first movie.
Really?
Which is like nobody gets that.
No director. Nobody
ever gets Final Cut of their movie. Like here you're talking about James Wan, who like kind of disowned Furious 7 because the studio comes in and chops their movie up. The Coen Brothers, but that's what's great because they make movies under $20 million or whatever.
Right.
Because actors want to work with him and everyone wants because they do produce awards.
Right.
So, like, producers will be like, here, do whatever you want. You can edit it to pieces.
Right.
And that's what's great. They literally write, direct, and edit everything.
Yeah.
And then they're so meticulous in everything.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy to me because, like, as like an insecure person, how do you know if like what you are doing is going to work? Right. For them, I guess they don't care. They're just trying.
I mean, that takes like an incredible amount of confidence just to like do a film all like basically you're doing everything. Like you're like you said, writing, directing, editing, producing
from the original idea.
Yeah, all the way to the post production.
Yeah.
So it's really just their singular vision. So I guess that's kind of the benefit of them being brothers, at least. Like they kind of, I guess maybe they quality control themselves, I guess to some extent, maybe, you know, like. Oh,
so like they go for the other guy for advice.
Yeah.
And they say, what do you think about this? Like, oh, I think this. And like, oh, you're right. And they can kind of go back and forth.
Right. Because I went to the Avengers Infinity War screening with the Russo brothers, and I saw their Q&A, and they were talking about their whole process as brothers. They kind of their whole thing as brothers is that they like whenever they have an idea about something, they just kind of argue which idea is the best idea. And they'll just always go with the better idea, you know, as a resolution.
So I wonder if like I don't know if this would work or not, but like if you have someone to bounce ideas off, like if I give you an idea and you tell me all the reasons why that idea won't work, and then I can come back and then make it better. I wonder if that would work as like a collaboration. Right. Or if like you have someone can be like, oh, that works, but let's try this and like just build upon it. I don't know. I would love to see like how like collaborators work.
Yeah. No, I'm extremely fascinated by their process, but it obviously has been working out for them. So salute to them and salute to No Country for Old Men too. Yeah. I like There Will Be Blood a little bit more. Yeah. We talked about that. Me and Ace talked about that extensively in our Paul Thomas Anderson episode.
You did that. You did his filmography.
Yeah. That was another two-parter we did. Two-parter.
Did you see Heart 8?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That movie's crazy.
Yeah.
That movie is insane.
I think that's his first movie too.
That is. Yeah. With Philip Seymour Hoffman and
John C. Reilly.
Sam Jackson's in it.
And then the main guy, I forget his name, but he was great. The older guy.
Yeah. He's in all of PTA's films too.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name either.
PTA is another great guy. They're auteurs.
Yeah.
Is what you want to say or what you can say about them because there's not that many. I don't know if there's not many, but like that's what I hear about.
Right.
Like people who conceive the idea, write it, direct it, and then like they do it instead of just like coming in as a director and just like making it.
Yeah, even with PTA, he was like the DP of Phantom Thread himself. Like he did all the DPing himself apparently.
And like there's no credit on it in the movie.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, like the rules, like the director can't be the cinematographer.
Yeah.
And there's a behind the scenes video on YouTube where like PTA is just like describing the shots of the movie, and he goes into like super detail of like the main character. Is it Vicky Creeps?
Vicky Creeps.
Yeah, the actress. He's like, oh, her face is like a stop higher than like the normal, like meaning like an f-stop.
Right.
So he knows like the
terminology,
like, the technical aspects of just like cameras. So he's just like a brilliant guy.
Right. I mean, that's what I admire about him. I always admire that with directors. I know for Fincher has always had this quote of saying like, being a great director is being the best. Being a great director is being able to do everybody's job better than them. Yeah, you know. So I think like the real great filmmakers have that ability, have that wherewithal of like understanding cinematography, editing, production design, sound, you know, and maximizes all those elements because of it.
That's what I feel like it should be like that. Like you should come up, like you should start off as a PA, right, and then just like get into the world of filmmaking, understand like what happens, what the grips do, what the electric department does, and all that stuff, and all that. And then you, as like as a director, you can see like, okay, now I need a flag over here to block the sun or whatever and all that stuff. Yeah, I think it's great when everyone knows their craft.
Yeah, nah, definitely. Salute to them, man. Salute to them. So right after No Country for Old Men, they had Burn After Reading, which is the 2008 film starring Brad Pitt, J.K. Simmons,
George Clooney and Frances McDormand.
George Clooney as well. This movie's hilarious to me, man.
Really?
This movie didn't get a lot of acclaim when it first came out. I saw this one much later on down the line. This was one of the later Coen Brothers films that I saw. But I think this movie kind of is really funny. Again, it does feel like another traditional Coen Brothers film of like the whole just like the murder.
Is there another briefcase in this movie?
There's a disc. It's a disc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like a disc that has this information from like a CIA agent that Brad Pitt just kind of gets a hold of. So then the CIA kind of sends somebody to take it back from him, and that ends up going wrong. And it's one of those kind of things, you know. A lot
of the stuff in their movies, like it's like a plan gone wrong,
right?
And then like how they react to that situation,
right.
I saw this movie once. I didn't really care for it, but I don't think I understood it like as a comedy because I was just like looking at it as a straightforward like crime thriller or crime drama or something. I didn't see it like as the absurd comedy because Brad Pitt's in like spandex with like goofy hair.
Right. He's running on the treadmill.
Yeah. Like is this the one where like someone like he's building like a dildo like thing contraption?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Where like you pedal a bicycle and the dildo like goes up your butt or something.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Or is that not it?
I don't think
that's this movie, right?
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna look it up.
I have to look into that one. But the dude, the fitness dude and Brad Pitt does come out like in a funny kind of borderline like flamboyant kind of way, you know, which I think is actually really a subversion of what the Brad Pitt image kind of is. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, before this, he was like the heartthrob, the like cool guy in the Ocean's movies and like Troy and all that.
Right.
And he was, and like he was in Seven and Fight Club. He was like this awesome, like
masculine man kind of dude. Yeah.
And now he's just the goofy guy in spandex.
Yeah, Coens are great at that. I mean, they did that with, like I said, George Clooney with Our Brother Where Art Thou, and with this movie too. And I mean, I think this movie's really funny. I only really saw it once, so I'm not fully 100% sure of like the deeper meaning. I'm sure if I really want to go in and break it down, you know, the CIA obviously is notorious for having a lot of rumors about their involvement in crime and you know, deceitful stuff, but
cover-ups,
yeah. And this is an instant of that, and it kind of, but it again, it's another one of those movies, and maybe this is a little bit more of a regression, maybe not regression, but kind of the Coens kind of doing a balancing act between what we just saw in Country for Old Men, No Country for Old Men, where it's a more serious like look at death and mishap and all that stuff. Is this movie kind of has another comedic like who gives a fuck ending, you know?
Another like kind of almost like slapstick Raising Arizona type.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the thing with Coens, like they'll never. I feel like every time they do it, it's always either going to be a comedy and then a drama, then comedy and drama, comedy and drama.
It alternates.
You know? Yeah. Which I think is what keeps them fresh as filmmakers, but I think it also throws people off because we have something like No Country for Old Men being like many people consider your magnum opus, right? Like your best film ever. And then you follow it up with this.
Burn After Reading?
Yeah.
This goofy fucking movie. But then like, that's what I'm sure it didn't do well. I don't think it did, but people are expecting like this straightforward drama or crime thriller or whatever, and then they see this goofiness, and it just didn't match what they were expecting after seeing No Country for Old Men win all these awards and everything, and they just got disappointed by it.
Right. This movie is the third highest grossing Coen Brothers movie.
Whoa!
So number 1 is True Grit, number 2 is No Country for Old Men, and number 3 is this one.
What did it make?
Domestically, it made $60 million. and worldwide it made 163 million. So
Whoa,
it did pretty good. I mean, the cast though was like mad stacked though. George Clooney, Frances McDormand, John Malkovich is in this as well. Tilda Swinton, and of course J.K. Simmons, like I mentioned. And you know, I think J.K. Simmons really brings it home, like at the end with the kind of general idea of the story, because he's getting the report back from his assistant or whatever, like, oh yeah, we are so the gym trainer, he's dead. The lady just wants the surgery. You know, all this.
He summarized the whole movie at the very end.
Yeah. And then J.K. Simmons just like, okay, well, I guess that's it.
What do we do now?
Yeah. He's like, I don't even know how we got into this mess to begin with. And it's another one of those, life happens, you know?
I wonder if that's like not a commentary, but like kind of like a metaphor for how they made the film. Because like they had all these storylines and everything. Yeah. And then they're like, okay, what do we do now? I'm like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
What now? Because like they didn't know how to end the movie, and they're like, all right. Whatever.
No, that's actually. I mean, I wouldn't put that past the Coen Brothers, because I feel like to some extent their films kind of do represent that level of like meta-ness, you know?
Yeah. Well, like with Barton Fink is like him writing Miller's Crossing and just having writer's block with that and dealing with the studio and all that. But I don't know. I just pulled that out right now. I wonder if it was like that.
No, I think that's probably a pretty good like interpretation of that. Like, I mean, that's probably that's a better explanation than anything I would have for the way this movie ends.
Because I went not going on top of that, where it's like, because it's like if someone wrote the script and he's like, okay, tell me the story, and then he tells the whole story in like a 3-paragraph summary, and then the person whoever he told the story to is like, now what?
Yeah,
and I was like, you're right, that's the end.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. This movie didn't really address like any kind of like central question that I think a lot of Coen Brothers films kind of really do.
Yeah.
Of course, I think this movie does inhabit a little bit of like, this is just like normal life, you know, like the not normal life, but like suburban lifestyle, like the mundanity of suburban life.
Do you know where it's set? Or does it say where it's at?
I'm not sure.
Because the setting to me didn't like stick out that much. Like how you said, it was pretty much just suburbia.
Yeah. That's kind of what I took from it. I guess it's LA.
Oh, it is.
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I'm just guessing LA because I just like LA. I'm gonna look at locations. They don't even have that listed.
I remember seeing this with my buddy, and it was just a movie. We're like, oh, I like these filmmakers. Let's watch this movie. And the scene where. Spoilers, where Brad Pitt comes out of the closet, makes the goofy face, and gets shot right in the forehead.
Yeah.
I didn't laugh at that scene. I don't know why. I just
that was so off-putting for me. Even when I watched it, I was like, "Oh shit, that's just how they're gonna end that character's story."
Well, because like you in like a typical like. Hiding in the closet kind of story, like they get away with it or something, like the killer leaves, or they get out of the situation somehow. But this one, they literally just shoots him in the forehead. And my buddy just started cracking up, like laughing, and I was like, "Why is that funny?" Like I didn't understand it. And then we looked back, and he's like, "Look at his face," and we like rewinded it, and then like we paused it on the face that Brad Pitt makes, because like if you just see the face, it's just like him like smiling, like, "Hey." Like, hey buddy, sorry, how's it going? And he just gets blasted right in the forehead.
That's funny. Now, I gotta peep that then. Yeah. This movie's funny, man. Definitely didn't, like I said, didn't receive the highest of regards in terms of Coen Brothers' work. But it did well. So
they try. That's the thing. They're hit or miss. That's what a lot of people say about them. But they go for it. They try.
I definitely think so. But like I said, they jump from comedy to drama pretty drastically. I think their next one is pretty certifiable drama comedy. In The Serious Man.
Oh, okay. 2009.
2009.
Oh yeah.
This movie follows Michael Stuhlbarg, who is a Jewish physics teacher from, of course, the Midwest. I think it's actually Midwest. I'm looking up on IMDb. I think they actually use Midwest in the description.
Nice.
He's a teacher back in like the 60s or whatever. And it's just I mean, this entire movie is just like trial after trial after trial, like him losing everything possible. And it's mostly played for laughs, but it's also played in a very cynical fashion as well.
To me, when I first saw this movie, I was like, because it's another one that kind of just ends.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the fuck did I watch? And I feel like that's what happens with a lot of Coen Brothers movies. There's that moment where you're like, what the fuck am I watching? Or like, what the fuck is this? Or at the very end, where you're like, what the fuck was that?
Right.
And this one, it just ends. But then like the way they incorporated that song, the "Somebody to Love" song by Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Like for some reason that song just works over the credits, and you're just like, what the fuck did I watch? But it was so good.
Yeah.
And I want to watch it again just to see, like, did I miss something? Like, no, I didn't, but I enjoyed it. Yeah. To me, this is one of my favorites of theirs.
Oh, you say it's probably one of your favorites?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, probably of their. I was gonna say like of their recent, like their second wave or new wave or whatever, but like in their whole filmography.
So.
I enjoy this a lot.
Yeah, I know. When we first like talked about this movie, you're pretty excited, like to dig into it, right? Like
because like I think I said in the other episode, you're the only other guy that I've heard that's seen this movie.
Yeah.
No one has seen it.
Yeah.
Even though it was like nominated, but this was like. I think this was after The Dark Knight when the Oscars got raised to like 10 or 9 or whatever they were.
Yeah.
And then like all these movies came out and were nominated. I don't know if this was the Social Network year.
This was the Avatar year.
Oh, it was Avatar. And and Hurt Locker were going up against each other. So like all these like big behemoth movies, and then like A Serious Man was just like thrown in there at the end.
Yeah.
And it was nominated for Best Picture, and I don't know if it was Best Director or
I think definitely it was some screenplay nominations, I think.
Okay. Was Michael Stuhlbarg nominated for?
Michael Stuhlbarg was not nominated.
Oh, he's great in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, what do you think about this movie?
I think it's great. I think it's so. I mean, it's just so down, but it's also so funny too. Like, I mean, it plays it for laughs, but it's like one of those. You know how they say in comedy, like tragedy, comedy is just tragedy
plus time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what this movie is. Like the beats are played with such a rhythm to it.
Yeah.
Like to me, the son like trying to get high at his bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
I can only imagine being a parent, that being the most heartbreaking thing in the world, especially if you're Jewish and you know are practicing as actively as this guy is, and your son's like trying to fucking smoke weed, especially it's the 60s too, so back then it was like doing meth.
I was like, oh my god, like Reefer Madness in here. But no, like I think I read that's what the movie was based on. Like they came up with like the idea of the scene of a kid getting high at his bar mitzvah. And they kind of just expanded on that.
Really?
They're like, let's build a story around that.
And that's where this origin. It's funny.
So that's what I feel like with like we talked about with Blood Simple at the very end was like the punchline of like, oh, she thinks the husband is shooting at her, but it's really the hitman, and he thinks that's the funniest thing in the world. So I feel like that movie was made for that punchline. So I feel like A Serious Man was made for that scene of the bar mitzvah, the kid getting high at his bar mitzvah, and the rest is just kind of filler, but it's great filler, and it's just like, what did I watch and what does it mean? It's another one like, what the fuck? What does this movie mean?
Right. This one's tough to really decipher. I mean, of course, he also is a teacher, but he has like no respect at his job. Like almost, it seems like
another like William H. Macy at Fargo thing.
Yeah. I mean, he gets like, who is that? Like the guy who like throws him up against the chalkboard a bunch of times.
Saul or the one that his wife ends up leaving him with?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't think of his name, but they say his name so many times.
Sly, I think Sly.
Sly Abelman.
Yeah.
But even the opening, do you remember the opening?
What's the opening? Yeah,
the opening has nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
That's just like the flashback scene, right? Is it like a flashback?
It's not even a flashback. Or as far as I remember, it's like not connected. Like,
it's just the little kid in the house, like the wooden. Is it like
it's like
18 something. Like
way back then, it's just snowing out, and then someone comes to the door and gives this whole speech and this whole thing, and you're like, and someone else comes in like, oh, that's a Dybbuk, and I think that means ghost. and then they kill the guy or the ghost or spirit or whatever, and then the movie just starts. And then I read that like that has nothing to do. I think the Coen Brothers admitted that has nothing to do with the movie. It just set up the tone of the movie. It's just kind of like it's gonna be dark.
Right.
It's gonna be weird.
You just gotta laugh at it.
Yeah. It's gonna this movie like it does put you in the tone in the mindset for what you're about to see in the movie.
Right.
But I don't know if like maybe now that I'm seeing it, because if they were connected, we're like, because in the movie, the Michael Stuhlbarg character, all this bad shit happens to him. It's based on the Book of Job, where like God tests his faith by throwing him like the worst luck ever.
Right.
So I wonder if they killed the Dybbuk, and then that affects the lineage of the family. Like later on, they just all have bad luck in their lives because they fucked with the spirit. But I don't know if that means anything.
Right. I think that's you probably got somewhere on there. That gotta be some degree of truth, because I feel like with this story in particular, this is very specific to Jewish heritage, to Judaism.
Yeah.
I know the Coens themselves are Jewish, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So this feels like something that inhabits a lot of religious connotations and a lot of moral questions that keep popping up like throughout. Like
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, please.
Oh no, they bring up a moral question of the like as a professor, he's teaching the cat thing. The Schrodinger's cat, that whole concept he just repeats in the movie to his students. He's like, and he tries to explain it through physics. And I think the whole theme of the movie is like you can't explain anything through physics.
Right.
No matter how hard you try to figure it out, there's not an answer for everything.
Right.
And stuff just happens. But as a teacher, he's like, it's the physics that work, because he has that Asian student where he's like, you gave me the wrong grade. And he's like, well, you don't understand the physics. He's like, no, but I get the cat story. Like the cat's in there, it's alive or it's dead. I get it. But then the teacher's like, but you don't understand the physics. And then like he fails the kid, but then the kid comes back and like accuses him of something, so he's gonna lose his job. Oh no, he tries to pay him off. And then he's like, I can't accept this. Like, what is this? and then it's just like goes from there. But that's only like one issue, like compared to like other issues or like
the millions of his daughter like stealing the money from him or whatever, or
stole
what did she do? Like I know his daughter was trying to get like a nose job or something, right? Like
probably.
Yeah.
She wanted like the whole thing. She wanted to go on a date with somebody.
Yeah.
And she's trying to get in the bathroom to get ready, and the uncle is just like in there the whole time, and the running gag is just a minute.
Right.
And the thing, and that's another like send up of suburbia. I feel like, and kind of like a commentary. I don't know, like with the Coen Brothers themselves. Like okay, like now we're pretty set in our lives. We live in this house,
right?
But we have uncles, and like shit happens. The uncle needs to be taken care of. He's in the bathroom all the time. Just like they just extract like little moments of life, and they just make it like absurd and hilarious.
Right. Pretty personal too.
Yeah, and like there's just a scene where someone keeps calling him at work saying like, hey, you have a magazine subscription. And he's like, I didn't subscribe to that. Like, I don't want it. I don't want anything to do with it. And they keep calling back like, no, you have to pay for it. And just like that. And you're like, why is this in the movie?
Right.
What does it mean? But it is just like, that's what we deal with in life. Like I get robocalls all the time.
Right.
And I just have to like explain to people like, I didn't want this. Like I'm not subscribed to this. I don't want any of this. And it's just like the absurdity of life. That's what I feel like this movie is just like explaining, like the overall theme of like absurdness. Yeah. Absurdity of life. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I mean, I think that they probably are saying something deep about like some shit that I just probably goes over my head. Because I really do feel like this movie, like you said, the callers, like everything, every like detail of this dude's life, I think all adds up to something. I'm just not 100% sure what it adds up to.
What do you mean? What do you think it's trying to add up to?
Well, I think there is some sort of like spiritual connotation here to some extent. Like there is some sort of like overarching like overwatch like somebody's like I think the impression that he's supposed to get is that he's being watched, and I think that relates heavily to his religion, to his
faith.
His faith. That there's there's God, or directly influencing. I think that's where you're talking about the story of Job too, kind of influences that as well. But I think there's also a level of subjectivity to it as well, because like I feel like there are moments in this movie that suggest. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say moments that suggest, but I feel like it almost feels so heightened. It's like it falls into the realm of like subjectivity, right? Like
what do you mean?
Like all this, you kind of get. I think at some point in this movie, I'm not particularly sure at what point, but at some point you kind of get the idea that this all takes place inside of from his perspective. You know, not inside of his head, but you're viewing the story through his through his eyes.
Yeah, you follow him throughout the whole story.
Right. So to some extent, it's like, do you know what actually is real, or if that's just some actual personal turmoil that he's dealing with that is being like externalized? You know,
you mean like we can't
delineate what's like true or false?
Like he's an unreliable narrator.
Yeah,
we can't really explain, or like can't trust him because we don't know what's real.
Yeah. I mean, just to some extent. I mean, I have no evidence to like back that up. But that's just always a little bit of the sense of what I've gotten from this movie. You know,
I didn't think about like. I didn't think about like in the movie, like there is like the higher power kind of like picking and choosing like what's happening to him, where it's like, okay, this is going wrong, and like I'm literally like pulling strings like a puppet.
Or maybe that's his impression of what's happening, so he interprets that back as him having to follow some divine thing, you know?
So he's thinking like, why me? Why is this all happening to me?
Right.
And then meanwhile, this is all happening, and he has to teach this faith to his child.
To his child, yeah.
Yeah.
And he has to overcome the trials that he wants to impose, that his son have to overcome as well. So, you know what I mean? Like he has to represent the values that he wants his child to represent.
And then he wants to do good in life. Like he doesn't want to accept the money because it's not right. Or the money to change the grade from the Asian student.
Right.
But then at the end he does because he needs the money for whatever, like household bills or whatever. Or it's everything just goes to shit because the wife
leaves, and it's a crazy movie, man. Sad movie, but it's fun too, funny.
But that ending is just brilliant because it's just them. It's a shot of them like staring at a tornado, and then it just like cuts to the credits with that song, and I just thought that was brilliant. And the rabbi quotes the song.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't peep that.
Because I guess after the bar mitzvah, he has to meet like with the rabbi, like one-on-one type thing, and then the rabbi hands him his iPod thing, whatever the little earphone thing,
right?
And then he just like what the Coen Brothers do, they just kind of like make like little things like hilarious, where like people sniff and they just go. They just make mouth noises and everything, and then the kid just watches as he's stoned. He's like, this guy's like making mouth noises. That shit's so funny. And then the rabbi just starts quoting that song because he starts saying, if the truth was found to be lies and all the joy within you dies, don't you want somebody to love? That's the lyrics of that song. And then,
deep.
Yeah, so I thought that was great.
No, that's what's up. I didn't peep that.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Good movie.
Yeah, great film. Also, like you said, Best Picture nominee as well. Which actually gave them actually not just two. They really went on a string of 3 Best Picture nominees back to back.
Oh, really?
To back. Next was True Grit, and I think Inside. Wait, I'm not sure. I don't think Inside Llewyn Davis got a.
I don't think that was nominated for anything. Maybe screenplay.
It was nominated. Inside Llewyn Davis was nominated for cinematography and sound. But it was in the conversation for Best Picture.
That was one that put Oscar Isaac on the map for me.
Oh yeah, definitely, easily. But yeah, I mean, True Grit. I mean, we could touch on True Grit. I enjoyed True Grit. This is actually the first Coen Brothers movie I saw in theaters.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And this is what really kind of inspired me to look into the rest of their films. And I really dug it. This is, as an introduction to their filmography, it kind of stands out because this is definitely their most straightforward movie that they've ever made.
It's not really like a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah,
I mean it is, but it's not. It's like a more general audience type thing.
Right. It's the straight up Western.
Yeah.
Stars Jeff Bridges, Matt Damon, Josh Brolin, some frequent collaborators of his, but also broke Haley Steinfeld up into the mainstream. Which, by the way, people always like when Haley Steinfeld shows up in movies today.
Yeah,
people always like, what is she? Is she an actress? I thought she was a singer. Like.
Really?
Yeah, that's a lot of people say that.
Okay.
I was talking to one of my homies and was like, yeah, she plays Spider-Gwen in the new Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I didn't know she acted like literally like True Grit. She was nominated for an Oscar for this movie.
Yeah, at the age of like 12 or
yeah,
something.
she was the youngest nominee, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the youngest.
Probably.
Yeah. To me, she is like she outshines everybody in this film.
She's great. Yeah. Edge of 17, she's really good in too.
Edge of 17 is amazing as well.
But she's great in this, and like that's the one that did put her on the map. You're like, who is this girl?
Right.
And she can hold her own against Jeff Bridges and Matt Damon. And I don't know if Josh Brolin's in the movie.
Yeah, Josh Brolin. He plays the bad guy. So I don't think they ever really like face to face interacted really all that much. But yeah, no, mostly Jeff Bridges is who she's sharing most of the screen with.
Yeah, and they have a great chemistry together because like Jeff Bridges is like another like hippie style, but now he's like in a Western. And then she's just like
Mr. Cogburn.
Yeah. And yeah, she's great. I enjoyed the movie. I haven't seen it in a while.
Right. I mean, again, this is more of a straight up Western, but it does have the Coen Brothers ting of it having some level of unexpectancy to it, right? Like at the end, I think I thought it was a bold choice for them to end with her killing the main bad guy, or not her killing. I think it was Jeff Bridges who ended up killing the main bad guy or whatever. But she loses an arm at the end of the story, which I thought was super crazy.
Yeah, because Jeff Bridges had to save her and ride her across like the whole land to get somewhere because she's like dying on the horse.
Right.
Oh, she loses her arm? I don't remember that.
Yeah. It was. I think this movie is pretty good, and I also think this is a remake of the old John Wayne film, True Grit, also from the same name, which was the movie that got John Wayne his one and only Oscar, if I'm not mistaken.
He won an Oscar for it?
He won an Oscar for the original part back in 1963. And then Jeff Bridges playing this part also got nominated for the Oscar.
Yeah.
This movie is also nominated for Best Picture. This was the year of The Social Network.
Oh, this was 2010. I think this was like the most nominated movie of that year.
Yeah, 10 nominations and 0 wins.
No wins at all?
No wins.
Wow.
Which it was the most nominated thing. Yeah. I think The Social Network only had 8 nominations, if I'm not mistaken.
But The Social Network didn't even win many. Or won all technical stuff, but I think The King's Speech won everything.
King's Speech won Best Picture and Best Director and Best Actor.
Which I didn't really care for.
Yeah. I didn't like King's Speech all that much either. But True Grit is dope. As a modern Western, you don't see too many modern Westerns these days that are really good, but this one is pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think probably one of the most notable recent films as of late has been like Inside Llewyn Davis. I think most people kind of consider that one of their truly, not acclaimed films as of late, but I think this one has definitely started a lot of conversations.
Oh, really?
For at least I guess maybe just in the circles that I've talked to people in.
What are they saying about it?
Some people really love this movie, man.
Wow.
Some people really think this movie is one of their best films.
Really?
I think the mixture. I think for a lot of people, it's the mixture of the music and how the music, the kind of folksy kind of music that he sings in this, kind of represents the lifestyle that Oscar Isaac's character kind of lives throughout the story. That kind of like sad, depressed, kind of like having to be on your own. Folk, like he's essentially doing like Bob Dylan folk music. This thing takes place in like the 1960s or something like that.
So around 50s with like the beatnik era or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But it was It's a
1961.
It occurs in the 61.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And it's a road movie. What's it called? Like what are those
road
movies?
trip,
Not a
road
road
comedy. I don't know.
Like I forgot what those called.
Yeah, there's I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's because they're traveling the whole movie. He wants to get somewhere.
Right.
The whole movie, and he meets up with John Goodman again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I don't think I understood the whole thing. I think I was expecting more from it.
Right.
Because it's another movie that just ends.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta go back and look at it. What are your friends saying about it? Like, why is it so good? Because the music and
I think the music, the tone. I mean, this one has a very distinct tone from I think a lot of other Coen Brothers movies. I mean, just from the color palette alone, right? It's a lot more bluer, a lot more washed out.
Yeah.
I remember listening to an interview with the DP of this film because it's not Roger Deakins. Roger Deakins was busy shooting something else during this time, so they recruited. I think the guy's name is Bruno something. I don't want to mispronounce his last name, but that the whole idea of the aesthetic is like to be a cover of like a vinyl album or something like that, right? To be like this kind of like to represent like the image of the music of that time, you know? So it's like when we talk about also No Country for Old Men, but also like Oh Brother Where Art Thou, that's very brown, very supposed to emulate the look of like sepia, because the reason why Oh Brother Where Art Thou adapted that style is because when you looked at a lot of photos from like 1930s, they were like the
sepia tones.
Sepia tones. So when you look at a lot of photos from at least like folk singers, like I guess during this time period, it had this kind of like bluish kind of like washed out look. So that's what they adapted cinematically
for the whole movie.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I think people appreciate the style of it. I also think honestly, man, I think the structure. This is one of the Coen Brothers films that I think has the most obvious structure to it. Like this one is definitely the one that feels most like the circular kind of structure that most people are familiar with. It's
more just a straightforward, like a linear thing. Like he's traveling to somewhere, he gets there, and then it's not what he wanted.
Right. Yeah. But he kind of ends up in the same place that he was in the beginning, you know?
At the coffee house or
well, just performing and just like living, like he doesn't have any advancements in his career.
So nothing changed.
He's the same character that he was at the beginning of the story too, almost to some extent.
He thought like this one moment was going to change his life, and it didn't happen, and now he's just back where he started.
Yeah. So I think people appreciate it on that front too.
That's another like sour or like downer of a movie. Back to that.
Yeah. Well, I think this one is definitely their most downer movie they've made in a minute too.
Well, Serious Man is pretty sad. Well, it's funny, but it's just sad. Yeah.
This one's also funny too. I mean, there's a whole subplot with Carey Mulligan, and Oscar Isaac where Lewin gets her character pregnant, and he has to like figure out he has to pay for an abortion for her, and then which is even crazier because when he actually goes to pay the abortion doctor, he hands him the money, the doctor the money. And it's like, oh, no worries. Last time you didn't have to pay, so it's on us. It's like, what do you mean last time? So he literally finds out that he has like a 2-year-old like fucking kid. You know what I mean?
Shit!
Like
I don't remember that.
Yeah. No, it's like a real quiet scene, but it was crazy to me. Like I was like, damn, they just like throwing like the most shit at this dude. You know?
Was that after like the events that happened? Was this after he didn't get the opportunity?
No, this is like before. This is all set up. Like, to me, the first 40 minutes of this movie is just like insanely depressing, right? Because he has that cat. Because he has to watch that fucking cat. Yeah. That like from the beginning of the story, and then like he ends up losing the cat, and it brings home a different cat, and he ends up flipping out because of they asked him to sing one of his songs or whatever. It's just interesting. Man. I feel like this one's definitely one of the more individual character studies that they've done as of late. And Oscar Isaac's performance kind of adds a level of like sadness to it, but also a level of like of just I guess a level of normalization, right? A level of like everybody could relate to.
Oh yeah,
being down and out, like.
But he has that hopefulness where like he's like, okay, something could change.
Yeah, right.
My life could be better. I'm working at it.
Right, exactly.
But again, the situations around him aren't allowing him to fulfill that. But yeah, I remember I enjoyed the song with Justin Timberlake and Adam Driver's in it.
Oh yeah, Adam Driver. Yeah. He's what's Adam Driver's character's name? It's something like Al Cody or something. Al Cody.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scene was like kind of like an upbeat scene and like this like kind of downer of a movie.
Yeah, because he's finally getting an opportunity to record.
Yeah.
And then that's also another piece of like kind of insight that this movie kind of has, right? The kind of desperation that artists kind of have to live by.
Yeah.
I remember during that scene, like after that scene happens, he's talking to the I guess the guy from the label. It's like, yeah, we could pay you out $200 right now, but you don't receive any royalties, or you could wait a little bit and get the royalties, and you could get a permission from your label head for ours, and you get the royalties. And he's like, no, that's going to take time. I need the money now.
Yeah.
So he sells out for $200, and I imagine that song ends up becoming a hit. So
and he could have made millions off the royalties.
Yeah. And that really reflects the situation of a lot of artists, just in general. That's something that we've seen a lot of modern musical acts kind of talk about.
Wasn't it like a Motown thing? Like people just signed off their rights to like.
That was Motown. I mean, it happens all through history. Taylor Swift was in one of those contracts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She was in one of those like big nasty contracts, and then I think she just got out of it, and now she has a really good deal with her new label or something like that.
Oh, so she's just raking in money now.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the disparagement that a lot of people have to deal with contracts, and people like I said, people are desperate. They need the money, so they're just gonna sign away their life.
Yeah, they're like, if I get it, it's quick money now. I don't.
Yeah.
Because like you never know if like the song's gonna do well.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10 it doesn't.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So this movie's good, man. I think this movie has one of the better. It's another one of those like the music in this, like I this is not for my ears personally.
Oh, you didn't like the music?
Yeah, I mean I did I rocked with it like as I'm watching it,
Yeah.
But like I also know I can't put this movie on at 12:30 a.m. and not expect to fall asleep.
It's a slow burn.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. If again like and. Salute to the Coens for keeping consistent with their musical aesthetic throughout their career. I mean, they've always kind of incorporated the same kind of folksy.
Well, even in Blood Simple, when they play the music on the jukebox, it's like an upbeat, like funky song.
Yeah,
and I just like that about like it's not something you would expect them to play.
Right. Nah, so but you don't really rock with Inside Llewyn Davis all that much though, or?
I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. It was a slow burn watching it. I think I did put it on at like 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, I'll try it.
Right.
And I was just getting tired from it, but I have to go back and look at it, especially like for Oscar Isaac, for the performances. John Goodman plays like a heroin addict. Yeah. That was another one that kind of took a left turn where like he just like overdosed in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Well, I just love how whenever they stopped at a bathroom, he'll be in there for like 20 to 30 minutes at a time.
Yeah. I guess I didn't put that together.
Yeah. So I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, sorry. A lot of shit like that where like stuff's going on in the movie and it's just kind of like happening and then like a left turn, like in Barton Fink where like he wakes up and the girl's dead next to him.
Yeah.
And you're like, I wasn't expecting that, and I like it. And now like characters have to react to this new situation. That's what I like. Because you can't really predict what's gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's dope. I rock with the originality, unpredictability. Now, of course, they also have one other theatrical feature that came out after Inside Llewyn Davis, which is, of course, Hail Caesar. That came out in 2016. Also, another one starring Josh Brolin. Really, Hail Caesar stars everybody in Hollywood, damn near.
Channing
Tatum, Jonah Hill,
George
Clooney, Ralph Fiennes, Scarlett Johansson, Tilda Swinton, Frances
McDormand's in it?
McDormand's in it,
Is Clancy Brown in it?
Clancy Brown? I'm not sure.
I feel like I saw it. I was in this movie.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. You told me that before, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then, you're actually in it.
Well, I was an extra in it.
Yeah.
So it was just fun to like be a part of it.
Yo, that's the stuff. You saw the Coens like directing.
Yeah, that was crazy. Cause like, have you ever been on a set like a big set?
I've never been on like a feature set.
Like a feature, cause like I was an extra in Iron Man 2 also.
Oh shit.
So like, but that was like it was like pickup shots where like pretend like drones are flying from the sky and just running. So that was like a huge like action sequence, but it was directed by the B, like the assistant director or like the B squad. I can't think of the name, but second unit.
Second unit, yeah.
Yeah. So, but this was like another pickup shot. I'm literally like one of the Spartans that's like marching. I think it starts off. I haven't seen the movie because I hear nothing but bad things about it. So I just didn't take the time to see it. But I'm one of those guys dressed up as like a Spartan, just like marching along, and then George Clooney rides up in his horse and carriage and says, look at the setting or whatever. So like a shot like that before George Clooney shows up would be like a second unit shot. But the Coen Brothers are there. Like both of them are just like directing the whole thing because they want to direct every single piece of their movie.
Right.
That's what I respected from seeing that. I was like, oh, like you can just get like a camera, just like, the second unit, or you can just like CGI people. They literally got like hundreds of, maybe like 100 people. Like we put on suits. People are like, they're chained. Like and they're getting whipped and stuff,
sick.
And like it was a whole thing. I'm like, oh, this is like for real, and it was fun. We shot in like Simi Valley.
Oh shit!
In 2015, and it took a while to come out. And I was like, why is it taking so long? But yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, I'm one of the few that actually like really enjoy this movie.
You enjoy it?
Yeah. I think it's a really fun. Now, of course, is it one of their best? Like, absolutely not. But I'm just a sucker for like old Hollywood in general. And this movie emulates so much of like the classical Hollywood like aesthetic and just how like it kind of parodies it to some extent.
Like how you would picture like a movie studio head.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Back then, like
exactly.
the head of MGM or something.
Right, exactly. Particularly the fixers, right? Because it stars Josh Brolin as Eddie Mannix, who's the studio fixer for I forget which actual. I think they make up like a fake studio name for it or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but Eddie Mannix is actually a real person in real life who was a Hollywood fixer in real life back during that age, back during that classical age.
What's a fixer? Like something goes wrong to the star or to the movie?
A fixer, yeah, it's essentially back then. That's like when Hollywood, it's when something goes wrong with a star or like you have to go in and fix their public image, a star's public image.
Oh, it's like a publicist fixing a public image.
Yeah, but like in not so legal ways, you know?
Oh, it's illegal.
Yeah. But it's not just for stars. I mean, this Eddie Mannix dude, the real one, he is largely responsible for like putting like regulating like all of MGM's films from like 1930 something to like the 60s. So he like literally hand managed all the MGM films like during that time.
Like what do you mean hand managed?
Like he would make sure like shit would like run smoothly. He was basically like the producer, but like just like the mob kind of producer. You know what I mean? I think he was like an actual mobster who came to Hollywood to kind of serve that purpose. And you know what I mean?
Oh, because for some reason I'm thinking of like if like in a ridiculous situation where a movie star's hanging out with a woman and like she ends up dead or something.
Yeah, that's one of the jobs that a fixer would do.
Oh, okay.
Hypothetically,
like getting rid of her or like making sure like nobody hears about it or something.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, the modern show that deals with that is Ray Donovan. Ray Donovan's all about a dude who is the main guy, Liev Schreiber.
Yeah,
he's a fixer.
Oh, that's what the character is?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea what that show's about.
Yeah, so the show literally opens with like this like athlete who like wakes up with like a dead like woman in his bed, and he calls like Ray Donovan, and he comes over and like takes care of it.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually a real profession that like people actually do.
You think it's like a real thing? It's based on a real thing?
Yeah. Well, at least I know for this movie, this is based on a real person.
Oh, it's based on the real guy for Hail Caesar.
Yeah, for Hail Caesar. Now, they're not like actively portraying this as like a biopic of this guy. It's mostly everything else is made up. They just use his name.
Yeah.
But he is an actual Hollywood fixer who is responsible for like doing for I mean the way they show his responsibilities in this movie is that he basically does like producer shit. Like he'll meet with like one of the more hilarious scenes to me is like he goes to because the whole movie that they're filming is Hail Caesar is like this big Spartacus-esque movie
starring George Clooney.
So one of the scenes is like he goes and meets with like all of these like religious like heads, like a rabbi, a priest, and somebody else, like another religious group also represented there, a Catholic or something like that. And then he has them read the entire script, and they like all give like hilarious like comments back to him, like this we don't like the way Jesus is represented, some shit like that. But it's really funny. So yeah, but that's kind of one thing he like. That his responsibilities are allocated to in this movie,
and that's played by Josh Brolin.
Yeah. This movie also broke our Han Solo to the world. What's his name?
Alden Ehrenreich.
I dig him in this movie a lot.
He's good.
Yeah, he plays like this like kind of country like kick actor who's usually like in like westerns, like old cowboy movies and shit like that. Like a young John Wayne, but then the studio like lost one of their actors or whatever, so they end up using this kid to like be in like a serious dramatic movie, like one of those like old like like period piece movies and stuff, and just him trying to adjust to like that kind of acting.
I think I saw that in the trailer where like he's not doing well, and Ralph Fiennes is trying to direct him,
kind of coach him through it. Yeah,
or Rafe Fiennes, whatever.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Either.
And he's like, he's not good, so the fixer has to come in and like fix that situation.
Yeah. It's just literally. I mean, the movie. That's why it doesn't really have any acclaim. It's literally just as much acclaim as this movie should have. This movie is just literally him going to different problems in the studio and like fixing them.
So is there not that Zac Efron thing just scared me right now for some reason? I like looked in the corner of my eye. I was like, there's like a person standing there.
No.
But so is there like a through line like in the story, or is it just like little vignettes of like?
It's kind of like they cut to different stories. So like one of the recurring things is that Scarlett Johansson plays like this actress who stars in a lot of like water films, which is actually based on a real person too. She plays in like a lot of these like aquatic based films, but then she's pregnant. So then his job as a fixer in this movie, like there's scenes where he goes to he assigns Jonah Hill to be like the father of this kid. Or whatever, just because like that's he that's you can't have the actress, the main star, be pregnant or
like
whatever.
Out of wedlock or something.
Yeah.
So they have to make like, they're in love and they got married and now they're having a kid.
Yeah. So shit like that is literally just like different scenes. Like Tilda Swinton plays two characters. She plays like twins that are like both like journalists. And the main story, I guess I'm not serving the main story. The main story is around George Clooney's character being kidnapped by a group of communists.
Oh, okay.
And then the whole studio is kind of in disarray because their main star for their main movie is gone. So then Josh Brolin is just going through fixing things up. And
while that's happening.
While George Clooney is being like held by these like communists or whatever.
Okay. So does it pay off at the end? I hear that the ending kind of just ends.
It's silly. It's a silly ending. I mean, it's very silly. I mean, it's like.
Well, I want to see it.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, for like as a story, it's not really like the best Coen Brothers movie. It's probably one of the weaker films actually. I personally enjoy it because I think the whole old Hollywood shit is like mad fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And I think some of the communist jokes are hilarious because it's all about like how that was it's said during the 1950s, like during the McCarthy like anti-communist movement.
Not the witch hunt. Is it the witch hunt? What do they call it?
Something like that.
McCarthyism.
Yeah. But but it kind of comments on a lot of that too. So yeah.
And are they playing like, are the characters kind of like absurdist characters?
Yeah, the communists. Yeah, they're hilarious. Yeah,
okay.
Like they're
I can see that.
They're Hollywood screenwriters. Like that's what that's how they're represented. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. To me, it's funny. It's funny. But I could totally see how this not worked for anybody else. And I think it's actually one of their low. As I'm looking through their IMDb, I've been pulling up the pages individually. It's like their second lowest rated
on IMDb.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were excited for it just because of the cast, and you're like, oh, the Coen Brothers. Like, look at this movie. It looks great.
Old Hollywood too.
Yeah. Like this is gonna win the Oscars because Oscars always bet on old Hollywood movies. Mm-hmm. And it just, I don't know, it came out and no one really saw it.
Yeah.
It took a while to come out, too, because we filmed it in, like, 2015.
2015, yeah. It came out February 2016, something like that.
February. I remember in February.
Yeah.
And
I was a freshman at CSUN when this film came out.
Uh-huh.
And when I started, like, when I was there, like, I heard this podcast called You Must Remember This.
Uh-huh.
It's, like, a podcast that's, like, a story podcast that, like, tells all these, like, old Hollywood stories. I was super into that podcast. So it was all of those stories of like the 1940s and 50s stories that had fixers at the centers of a lot of them. And this movie came out and it kind of really hit me in that time when I was in that mind space.
Yeah.
So I think there's even an episode on that podcast where they talk about the real dude of Eddie Mannix or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's crazy.
That would be interesting to see like a straightforward story or a movie about that story.
Yeah. Because I think he was really a mobster, and then he came to Hollywood and just ended up like running MGM. So that's what's up. That's their last theatrical movie. But of course they just have that new movie on Netflix.
Yeah.
The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Uh-huh.
We kind of briefly talked about it in the first episode, but I didn't finish it.
I think it's their longest movie. It's almost 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I think at least 2.5 hours. I want to say.
Yeah, I think on IMDb they have it as 2:13.
I thought it was longer.
Something like that. Feels long though.
Yeah, it's a slow burn.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. I think it's better because it is like an anthology series. It's 6 stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is better to take like a break in between like 2 stories.
Yeah,
because like it's a lot.
Yeah,
and the stories are just like not a lot of dialogue in them. One of them is just like literally one guy panning for gold.
Yeah.
And it's
with him saying the fucking speech was that? Oh no, that not the panning for gold. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's like it's cool to see him like how he like finds the gold. He's like 2 pieces, and he digs over. He's like 1 piece. I got to go this way. 3 pieces over here, and he kind of pinpoints where the gold is, and he finds it. But it's literally that's the story, and it told over like 30 or so minutes.
Yeah,
or it feels like 30 minutes. I don't know how long it actually is.
Right.
So which ones did you see then?
So I saw the first one, which is my favorite,
the Buster Scruggs.
Buster Scruggs. The second one with James Franco
and Stephen Root.
Steven, yeah.
I want to say, yeah.
I think that's his name. The third one I saw was it the midget guy who was like saying the Abraham Lincoln speech?
That was it the actor, like the traveling actor?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it an Abraham Lincoln speech?
Yeah, the 407 years ago.
No, he wasn't saying that. Was he?
I think so. I don't know.
I thought he was just like quoting something.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was the Abraham Lincoln speech.
I don't know. I'm not. I thought it was.
That was the one Liam Neeson, like he's like traveling with this guy. The guy's, I don't know what it's called when you have no limbs. He's literally just like a torso.
I shouldn't say midget, but like I shouldn't say that word in general. Sorry, little person.
But he's not even a little person.
Yeah. I mean, he just has no limbs.
Yeah. So literally, like Liam Neeson has to like carry him like on his back.
Yeah.
And then like set him up. He's traveling, sets him up in like this small town, gathers a crowd of like 10 or so people.
Yeah.
Says this monologue. Then he picks up donations from the crowd.
Yeah.
That was one. I didn't know where that was going.
Yeah.
And after that's another like, it is fucked up.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Just how it ends.
Yeah. He just gets fucking left there. Like.
Well, no, he doesn't get left because Well, the whole story is that he's traveling with this guy making money, but then he sees another guy making money with a chicken.
Oh, right.
Like this mathematics wizard chicken, where the crowd just shouts out, "What's 11 times 2?" And the chicken hits 22. So then, and everyone's like betting on that and making so much money. So Liam Neeson buys that chicken. He's gonna make money with that. And the story ends with him looking over a bridge, looking into the water, throwing a rock into the water. And then from what I gather, he's just going to throw the guy in the water.
Yeah. That's what I got. That's what I got from that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is incredibly fucked up.
Yeah.
Because the guy has no limbs. He can't do anything. The guy, Liam Neeson literally has to hold him while he pees. And he's just going to throw him over a bridge in water. Like, you can't just leave him somewhere in town or something. Like, you literally just have to do that. Yeah. And then the last shot is just him. Like, it was the guy in the back of the carriage, like, traveling with him. But now the last shot is just the chicken.
Yeah.
That's so fucked up. But that's kind of a commentary on what we were saying. Like, you're replaceable with anything. Actors, people who work with anything, you're replaceable with a chicken.
Yeah.
Like how we were talking about Hudsucker Proxy, like one guy jumps out of the window, you replace the next day with a guy from the mailroom.
Right.
And this guy literally gets replaced by a chicken.
Yeah.
And it's sad. Yeah. And it's fucked up. But that's the Coen Brothers.
That was the saddest one that I saw.
There's another one that's pretty sad. You didn't see the one with Zoe Kazan? I think that's
I don't think so.
Where I think that's the fourth story.
Or fourth story. Give me a reminder of what that one.
She's at dinner and she's explaining that she has to go meet her husband.
I saw the beginning of that one.
Okay.
I did see the beginning of
that one has a sad ending too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
damn.
Yeah, that's this all this stuff is just like, well, the Liam Neeson one, there's like little to no dialogue. Well, except for the guy doing the do you know who that guy is, the actor?
No.
He's from the Harry Potter movies. He's the fat one.
Really?
The Dudley or something.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I forgot what his name was. But
is it Henry Melling or whatever?
He's in the one called Meal. It's called Meal Ticket, I want to say.
Yeah, Meal Ticket. Yeah.
And I think he's from the Harry Potter series. Do you have the actor's name?
Let me see here. I'm trying to find. Oh, Paul Ray, something like that.
Is that his name?
Let me see. I have two guys here. Okay,
no, it's a young guy.
Okay, yeah, I think it's Henry Melling. I want to say
probably in his 20s, maybe early 30s.
This guy.
Yeah, Harry Melling.
Yeah,
look at him in his Harry Potter days. He's like the goofy Harry Potter dude. Look at that photo.
Let's see this guy.
That was him in Harry Potter.
Holy shit! Damn.
But yeah, I didn't know that was him. I thought they really got like a guy with no limbs to act. But I was like, what are the odds that like that guy, like he has no limbs, but he's like a famous actor, or like he's really good at like monologues.
Yeah.
But no, that's a sad one. The Buster Scruggs. Why did you like the first one?
To me, that shit just like kills me, man. Like the fact that he like goes around just like murdering people, and then he'll sing an entire song and get everybody around him to start singing with him. Like to me, that just kills me. Like I also thought I don't know. Like the first time I thought he was just a really stupid dude, and then the first time he like started killing people, I'm like, all right, that's weird.
He's good.
Yeah, he's fucking amazing. And then like, but when he goes, the moment that the jokes really started like hitting for me, it was when he went into the second saloon. And they made him like take off his gun or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, checking your register. He's like, well, I guess we're all equally disadvantaged. And then he goes into this one dude pulls out a gun on him. He's like, you're clearly breaking the rules of this establishment.
Yeah. He's just like this happy-go-lucky guy. It's like, well, buddy.
Yeah.
But then you think like that's the end of him because like he literally just has the gun pointing at him.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
And then he literally like stomps on the fucking table and makes the dude shoot himself in the face a bunch of times.
3 times. Yeah. He just go poof, poof.
Yeah.
And he just blows his head off.
Yeah, I cried. I was like, what?
That was another like what the fuck moment.
Yeah.
In a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Like you were not expecting that to happen.
Yeah, nah. And then he starts singing like poor old Joe, poor old Joe. Like everybody starts singing. And his brother comes out as like, oh my God, Joey. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I also died. I don't know. Everything with this dude, man. Like as soon as he's like, as soon as the guy like challenges him to go outside with his pistol, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he literally like walks outside. He's like, sometimes you gotta handle situations like this. And then he like looks in the mirror as he's like planning out his shot. Like,
Yeah.
He's like, let's see, his heart's on the right, but the mirror's on the left. But then I am backward. I am facing the same. Like just the way he was explaining it, just killed me.
Like straight to camera. He's like, we are facing the same way though, so it would be on the right side. And then he just shoots behind him.
He's like, best not to play it too fancy. Just shoots him.
And then he sings the song again.
Yeah, he was just about to sing a song, and then he sees another singing fucking killer. Like coming to town. Like that's where I got disappointed. I was like, damn, like.
It just ended.
Yeah. I at least wanted to like see a little more of this dude. Like, this is the funniest. To me, that was the funniest part. But.
Yeah, Tim Blake Nelson was great. I thought the whole movie was about him because like he's on the poster. It's called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Right.
He's out promoting it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is going to be just a story about him. It just ends in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And that one, like I was watching it with my family and I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And then they didn't like it.
Yeah.
Because like I understood because like once he dies, like his little heaven body shows an angel body with the guitar.
Yeah.
And he's singing up to the heavens.
Yeah. Oh man,
that's where like okay, the Coen Brothers are just huge stoners. And
yeah, that was some bullshit.
Yeah.
But I was with it all the way up until that point. The James Franco one was pretty good too.
It was good. That was a hugely different from this first one.
Yeah, that was more serious.
Yeah, it was great. And I was like, okay, now like this is a serious part. Like we got through like the goofy part.
Yeah.
Now this is it. And they die again.
Yeah. I thought he was gonna find a way to get out of hanging a second time. Like,
that's what I thought. That's how they set it up. You're like, okay, he got out of the first one. He cracks the joke where he's like, "This your first time," and the guy's like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then it just ends.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is gonna be a story of people dying.
Yeah.
And I thought initially, because I saw those first two on my first sitting, and I was like, oh, these kind of represent like the 7 deadly sins.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Because the first one, he was prideful.
Oh.
That's a sin, right?
That's a sin, yeah.
Where he's like, he thinks he's too good, where that's his downfall at the end, where like, you want to count? And the guy's like, nope. And he just shoots him right in the head. And then it takes him a while to die, or he looks at his hat.
The hat, yeah. It's just a great shot, too, by the way. Like,
yeah.
He just sees the hat, the blood in the hat.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I think that's the end of my story.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then the James Franco one, it's a greed thing because he's stealing money. So it's like, oh, these are going to be the 7 deadly sins. Pretty cool. But then, like, my theory falls apart with like the other stories. So I don't know how the actor one like falls into that.
Right. I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
I did feel bad for the little actor dude when Liam Neeson was like having sex with the prostitute.
Yeah.
And dude, like he literally sat him up there just to watch. Like that's pretty fucked up.
But then he turns him around.
Yeah.
And it's all in real time. So it's all like one shot, just stationary. He's looking at him. He's like, yep. And then he just like, and then like the sound design too, like the chair turning. It's like, and then the hooker is like, do you want something
too? Yeah.
And he's like, no. Like, why not? Why can't he just get something? Like he has nothing left.
Yeah, nah, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the second one I thought was really good with James Franco, and I thought like you said, like they did build up a good amount of suspense. I thought there was still a lot of funny moments though, like when he was being hung and then like the horse kept like creeping away.
Yeah.
And you just see him like literally like laying up,
just to chew like the grass. That's like just out of reach of him.
Oh man, nah. So that has some funny moments in it, definitely.
Oh, and then when I think it's Stephen Root. I don't think it's the guy because I get him mixed up with the guy from Sorry to Bother You. But I think it's Stephen Root where he's
Stephen Root,
the bank teller. He comes out in like full on like silverware, or not silverware, like pots and pans. And James Franco's literally shooting him in the heart, but it's a pan. And he's just yelling, headshot. Like you need it, like literally saying like you need to shoot me in the head to kill me. And he just gets closer and closer until he hits James Franco.
Yeah, that's funny. Dude, I'm telling you that there's a lot of good funnies in this, at least in the first 4 parts.
Yeah, the other ones are a little longer, and they're a little sadder.
Yeah, I think the goat one is actually based on a true story.
Oh, is it?
Or I don't know, maybe not based on a true story, but based on a story by Jack London, it says here. So
that was a good one. Oh, that had a funny one too. You saw the whole thing of that one, right?
Yeah.
That had a funny moment too when because he gets shot, but then he pretends to be dead, and then the guy jumps in and he shoots up the guy who tried to kill him, and then when he escapes, he's like so surprised. He's like, he didn't shoot anything important.
Yeah, it went clean through. Yeah.
He's like exclaiming to nobody, and he's like so happy to be alive. He's like, nothing important. Like, that was just great.
Nah, I also laughed, and he was like, you think you're gonna what did he say, like, you're gonna wait for me or some shit like that when he was talking.
Well, I do all the work.
Yeah, I do all the work.
You're gonna camp out at my site.
Yeah. I thought that's funny that was his main concern, not the fact that he was fucking shot and bleeding.
Yeah. And then it got pretty violent too. Like, it showed like him getting shot in the face.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. Yeah. That was fucked up though, because this guy like tried hard. Like, you can see, like, you can read into that, like, hey, this guy's like trying hard to like raise money and like just work hard and like have a big reward at the end, American dream type thing.
Right.
Another guy comes in, just shoots him, takes whatever he made. But then he's like, nope, I'm not dead yet, and then he kills him.
That was when I thought that was where that was gonna end, when the dude just comes up behind him and shoot him.
That's how, yeah.
Yeah, but then it actually gave him a full ending and fucking positive ending to that shit. So.
Yeah, well, because the first ones are set up where like they just die. So you're like, okay, this is gonna be another downer where he just gets shot, and you realize all his work was for nothing.
Right.
Which would have been super depressing.
Yeah.
But Coen Brothers are depressing.
Yeah, man. I know what's up with those guys, man. I'm gonna check out the rest of Buster Scruggs, but man. I think that wraps up our talk on the Coen Brothers, bro.
Cool.
Yeah, we've been here for a minute. And I'm sorry for holding you here so late, my man, but appreciate you coming on and talking about Coen Brothers on the Meaning of podcast.
Cool. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, I'm sure Ace is listening at home, having a good old time.
Is he a Coen Brothers fan?
I think I'm pretty sure he is. I mean, I think so. I think everybody who loves film loves Coen Brothers to some extent.
Except Cody.
Cody is not a fan of Coen Brothers, right? Which is I gotta have you and Cody on to talk leftovers. Fargo, the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We gotta do the Meaning of Fargo television show.
I gotta finish season 2 and 3.
Yeah. Who's the guy behind that?
The one that created it?
Yeah.
No
Holly.
Is it Holly?
Yeah. We gotta do a meeting of him, man.
That's great.
He did Legion too, which is one of my favorite shows.
I haven't seen that. Yeah, Cody loves Legion.
Yeah. So absolutely, man. But thanks again for coming on. Anything you need a plug here?
No. Schmoes Beardos, Twitter, Instagram. Watch The Wenger Show on Patreon, YouTube, podcast, Spotify, all that. Oh yeah, we're on Spotify, The Wenger Show. And join our Patreon and support us.
Sick, man. Awesome, brother. So that wraps it up for the Meaning of podcast. I'm RB3.
I'm Brian.
And we're peacing out, guys. Peace out.